Hey guys, and welcome to another Fearless Friday with myself, Jennifer. I can't believe how fast the weeks go by. It feels like it was just last Friday, but I guess that's time for you. Um, this video, I just want to talk about um, my story. I want to tell you guys my story with my eating disorder because I've mentioned a few things about it, but I haven't really told you guys my entire story, which I think might be helpful for some people, might not, but maybe it'll help you guys get to know me a little better too. So, my eating disorder started 4 years ago now. Started when I was 16, right before grade 12, so the summer before grade 12. And I was diagnosed with anorexia nervosa. So I have never been diagnosed with bulimia. It's only been anorexia for me. So heavily and severely restricting and over-exercising at one point were my major symptoms. And um, so that year, the year of grade 12, I was really into my symptoms and I was really sick, basically. I was terrified of change. I was frightened that I would not meet my standards because grade 12 was the year right before you go to university, and I had absolutely no self-esteem whatsoever. I had no belief in myself that I could achieve the things that I really wanted to achieve at that point. Now, at that point, I had no idea what I actually wanted. I just chose things in my life that I thought would make me look smart or pretty or those things. So, for example, I wanted to be smart. I wanted to prove that I was smart, even though I am smart, but I didn't believe myself. So I wanted to prove that I was smart. So in order to do that, I needed to get into university in one of the hardest programs, and that would prove to the world that I was smart, which is what I thought, which is absolutely not true, but this is just how distorted my thinking was. And I wanted to prove to people that I was pretty and attractive, I guess. So I wanted to lose the weight, and that was the only way I really knew. Like standards, I needed standards to go by. So marks were an easy standard in order to determine smartness, and weight was an easy standard in order to determine thinness or prettiness. So that's basically how my brain worked, and I just strived for those goals, and I did achieve them, but then I fell on my face because I was exhausted and sick and stressed and full of anxiety, and my body wasn't healthy. My biology was and chemistry of my body were all out of whack. So by the time it got to the next year, the following year, when I was supposed to go to university because I got in, which is what I wanted, I was too sick to go. I was way too sick. I was not only was I physically sick, but I was too mentally sick. I was too distraught with anxiety. I stopped sleeping for weeks before school started. I got sick whenever I went to campus. I would have panic attacks because I was so afraid of not being smart or not being able to live up to the expectations that I set for myself so that I would seem smart to the world. Because I absolutely had no confidence in myself whatsoever. I didn't know how to be okay with myself. I didn't know how to internally validate the fact that I am pretty and I am smart. Well, pretty is subjective term, but I'm okay with myself. I didn't know how to validate myself from inside, so I needed to somehow do it in the outside world. So, this was in 2009. So, 2009 was supposed to be my first year of university. I couldn't end up going. I withdrew. I was devastated because I thought that this meant that I had failed, that I am stupid and worthless, which is absolutely not true, but that's what my brain told me, and my sick mind told me that's what it meant, because you couldn't go, you weren't good enough. So that year was hard for me. I was in school that year. I worked, and I brought my weight up by myself to a healthy range because it wasn't for myself, it was in order to do well. I thought that if I was healthy, I'd be able to better prove my smartness to the world, which is also very distorted thinking. But I still wasn't mentally well that time. So, then 2010, was it 2010? Yeah. Yeah, no. Oh, okay. So, my first year of school, when I enrolled and I was too sick to go, that was 2008. Actually 2008. Not that the dates matter. Anyway, dates don't really matter. But it was 2008. So when I spent the year bringing back up my weight, wasn't in school, I enrolled again to go back to the university, same program, whatever. I got in. I had bad anxiety still because of my standards were all messed up. My validations, external validations were all skewed. It's just, I wasn't thinking right. So I had really high anxiety again going back. I stopped sleeping. I had insomnia for a long time. I was going through a lot of personal things too when my friends had died. My dad was sick. My grandpa was really sick. It was just a really hard year, and my scholarship was being denied, and it's a very stressful year. So by the time I got to January again, I started using my symptoms, and I got really sick again, physically, because I was already mentally really sick, but physically I got really sick again. So I spent the summer basically in the hospital. I was hospitalized for the very first time, which the program that I was in was very good for nutritional health, but there wasn't very much mental health aspect to it. So I was hospitalized for about a month and a bit, and when I got out, I thought I was super ready for school again to do well. So clearly I was still mentally sick. So I went back, and I had a really extreme bout of anxiety and insomnia where I stopped sleeping for about a month and a bit in my first month of school. So mentally I was just off the charts. I was really sick. Mentally I couldn't function, really. My anxiety was beyond controllable. So I was hospitalized again. I had to withdraw from school again, and I was hospitalized this time for 3 months, which once again nutritionally was great, but mentally did not help really whatsoever. So at this point I started to get my own personal therapist and psychiatrist because didn't have any of these supports before. So I thought that perhaps they would be extremely helpful, which they were in the end. I mean, if it wasn't for my psychiatrist and my psychologist, there'd be no way that I would be here as doing it as well as I am right now. So that was just a really big step for me, and I think it's a really important step for everyone who is struggling to get a therapist. and a psychiatrist if you need meds to be handled. So that was really helpful because I got the nutritional support, and externally outside of the hospital I had mental support. But after I got out, I was on the waiting list for a long time for this treatment center where you stay for 3 months, and it's intense emotional, mental, and physical support. It's really intense in all levels of the eating disorder. It's really to fight the eating disorder, and I was on the waiting list for a really long time. So come March, I was accepted, and luckily I wasn't in school that year because I had to withdraw at the beginning, so my schedule was free. So basically that year, which was this last year, was my health year. I just spent the entire year building back up my mental and physical health, and not only that, but installing like positive belief systems in my mind, and just getting rid of all the irrational junk that was in my head. So stuff like needing external validation, like getting good marks means I'm smart. I mean, I had to totally debunk that, and that was really hard because it was a belief that I've had for a really, really long time. So I had to learn to get validation within myself, and I think that was definitely one of the most helpful things that I've done, is just being able to be okay with myself and just getting everything I need from inside. I know it's a really hard thing to explain, but that's just that was probably one of the most beneficial things that ever came out of the program. So I was there for 3 months, 3 really intense months. And after that, they have a great follow-up program where I was able to still see therapists there if I needed to, dietitians, book meal support, bed support. There was just tons and tons of support. So, yeah, that was basically the last 4 years of my eating disorder, anxiety, insomnia, mental, physical health struggles. And within that, I struggled with self-harm and all those kinds of negative coping tools too. So it wasn't just the eating disorder. I bounced from the eating disorder to self-harm to just finding different ways to be able to cope with the anxiety. So now it is September, and I am back at school. So I know I talk a lot about school in my videos, and if you guys watch this, if you're watching this, you probably now understand why school is so stressful slash important slash I guess like a pinnacle to my recovery, just seeing how well I'll be able to cope in school, because I've never really been able to in school. It's such a loaded topic for me. So I just want to share with you guys my experience in the last 4 years, and because I feel that right now I'm doing extremely, extremely well, and I feel really healthy. I feel like I've finally reached a healthy balance in my life, and I finally have beat all these negative belief systems and symptoms that I've had for the longest time. So I just want to share with you guys my story, and I want you guys to know that it is possible to get better. And I know lots of everyone on Fighting for Hope on this channel. They have so much wisdom to offer, and they're such inspiring people to see that you can get better. So I just want to share my story with you guys, which I just said a million times, but I just want you guys to see that it will get better, and it can get better, and these were the most helpful things for me. And please, please ask me so many questions, because I think I have a lot to offer for you guys, and I can tell you what has worked for me and what hasn't, and maybe it'll work for you too. So I hope that you can take something from my story in order to help you get better. So I'll see you guys next week, and I hope you have a wonderful, lovely week. And I love you. Bye.